Hey furniture friends, it's time for another furniture makeover, and this time I'm using a new product. This is an adorable little vintage hutch or china cabinet. I found it on Facebook Marketplace for $75, and it's actually in excellent condition. It's only a few minor cosmetic things, but it's kind of boring. Like, as cute as it is, and it has so much potential, but it's just lacking personality. I checked it all over, and the bottom is nice and solid and super clean. So first things first, I'm going to go ahead and take it apart so I can begin working on it. I'm going to take the doors off because I do intend to refinish the drawers. I also want to add some cute wallpaper on the inside, and I've just found that it's easier to take these off. I usually do one of the top screws, then one of the bottom, and then the second bottom, and then the last one on the top. This one was stuck a little bit. I had to kind of maneuver it in and out of there. And as always, make sure you label your screws so you know where they go when you want to put it all back together again. Now it's time to go ahead and start sanding it down. I'm using 120 grit sandpaper on my orbital sander. I'm going to go over the entire piece with 120, and then I'll come back over it again, probably with about a 220 sandpaper. I'm using my carbide scraper to get the areas that I don't want to use the sander or that are a little bit tricky to get into. This scraper is working great because this finish is pretty old and dry. I do want to replace the handles, so I went ahead and filled the drawer holes with some little dowels and wood filler, then sanded down both the inside and outside of the doors, and then it's time to clean. You gotta get all that sand off. There's one little area that needed repair on the very top, so I used a little bit of Quickwood to fill in the hole, and then I will sand that smooth once it's nice and dry. Okay, look quick. There he is. There he goes, wearing his Miami Dolphins hat. All right, now I really want to play up the design of this piece of furniture. It's got some cute elements, but they all just kind of blended together when it was a solid color. So what I'm doing is I'm using Varathane's water-based gel stain. This is in the color black. It is almost like a paint in that it goes on super easy. I use this little sponge applicator to put it on, but it is like a stain in that you will be able to see just a hint of the wood grain showing through. I'll probably add about 2 to 3 coats because I want it to be nice and black and nice and shiny. But this is a really great product, and because it's water-based, it dries quickly and it doesn't have strong fumes. I decided to play up the bar between the two doors, the bottom of the cabinet. Wasn't sure at this point if I was going to paint the legs or not, but I did end up going back and painting them. Now that the cabinet doors, now that the Quickwood filler has dried, I'm going to give them a good cleaning, wipe them down, and then I'm using the inside of one of the cabinets to test my stain color. This is the color Early American. I use this on a lot of my projects because it's a really nice warm color, very neutral, goes with a lot of other pieces of furniture that someone might have in their house, and it has kind of a vintage feel to it. It's not too red or too orange, but it's just perfect. I don't know how else to explain it. It's just a really nice color. Once again, I'm just using a sponge applicator to put it on. For a moment there, I thought I had a dark smudge on this door, but that's just the shadow of my water bottle that you're seeing there on the left. I like to put on a fairly light coat of this. You'll notice I'll go back and forth with the sponge, and it puts it down and also picks it up a little bit as you're applying it. Then I'll come back in with a shop towel and remove the excess stain, and then I'll let it dry overnight before I decide if I'm going to put a second coat of stain, and then I usually let it dry about 2 to 3 days before I'll do any top coats. I really want to make sure that this stain has an opportunity to soak into the wood and thoroughly dry. Now there's this kind of like almost a little shelf that divides the top and the bottom of the hutch, so I decided to also paint it. Oh, sorry, I said paint, I meant stain. Stain it in the same black gel stain. Once again, this is about accenting the beauty of the piece, not changing the color. I think just this little bit of black on the base between the doors on this piece of wood right here, and then on the outside of the top, I'll show you what I mean in just a second, are really going to play up the design elements of this piece of furniture. You'll notice that I am misting it before I put the gel stain on. This is a water-based product, so I can do that. And I'm doing that just because it's really dry and hot in my garage, and I want to have a little bit more time to work with the product. So just that touch of water allows me a little bit more time to get it across the entire front of the piece before it dries. Now we'll go in and sand that little bit of Quickwood, and then I'm not going to paint I keep saying paint, gosh darn it. I'm not going to stain the entire top of it. I'm just going to stain the front piece right here, and it extends just a little bit onto the sides. Once again, it's about a design element, not changing the color of the piece. I liked the stain, so I'm going to use the same color on the entire piece. Once again, this is Early American by Varathane. Now, this is an oil-based stain. I generally do this outside, but due to the heat, I'm working in my garage, and I have the garage door open, the side door open, and a fan blowing. And yes, I probably should be wearing a mask. I did forget when I was filming this piece. All right, here's what she's looking like right now. And you can see how those touches of black just draw the eye to the design elements. Now, where I filled in the old hardware holes, I do need to come back over with some wood paint. I have my wood paint kit, and I'm using different colors to kind of layer and blend so that hopefully if you don't know that there were holes there, you wouldn't see them. It's really difficult to get them to disappear entirely, but I have found that by layering the paints, going over it multiple times, and then using some polyurethane to top coat it, these will be very difficult to see in the future. So you can still kind of see them right there because the paint is a little bit different texture. All right, now we're going to go ahead and seal and protect this. I am using polyurethane in my sprayer. I'm going to put on 3 coats. Between each coat, I use some brown paper bag to gently sand it and then wipe it down to make sure that I get all of the dust off of it before going forward with the next coat. And you'll notice I'm going up and down in the direction of the wood grain. And here's a little trick. All those Amazon boxes that you get, save them to put inside your furniture flips so that you don't have to tape off. I just break them down and use them to protect the inside of the furniture when I'm using my sprayer for either paint, stain, or top coat. Okay, now is the fun part. I'm going to try out a new product. So this cabinet has the 2 sliding doors. I'm going to get them super clean, and then I'm using this product that I came across while I was browsing Amazon. It is a window film. I only needed 1 sheet of it, so it was $9.99, which was really affordable, and it was such a cute pattern. It comes with the film, instructions, a little craft knife, and a spatula type thing to push it down. The first thing that I had to do, and you'll want to do this, is make sure that you're applying it in the right direction and on the right side of the glass. I wanted this to be on the side of the glass that will be outside facing, and I had to make sure that I was getting it in the proper position so that, of course, the tree branches will be going up, not down when I'm done. I've cleaned it several times, and I'm going to give it one last clean. I've just got some basic Windex here and paper towels that I'm using to make sure that it's squeaky clean before I start to apply the product. Now, everything on Amazon said this was extremely easy. It doesn't require any special paste or glue, so fingers crossed that this is going to go on smoothly and be as sturdy as I'm hoping it will be. They recommend that you can use this on windows, you can use it on shower doors, you can use it for decorative elements like I'm doing here, and it has a nice sturdy kind of vinyl feel to it. Now, the first thing it says is to get your glass wet by spraying it with water. So that's what I'm doing here with my little misting bottle that I picked up at Lowe's in their garden center. And then, similar to peel and stick wallpaper, it has the waxy paper on the back. So you just kind of peel that off. So I did 2 pieces of this. I'm only going to show you one, and I'm going to go over what I did right and what I did wrong while we're watching this installation. First things first is I should have cut it to the length that I needed. If you'll notice, I'm working with the entire roll, and that kind of made it a little clumsy and awkward to work with. It would have been much easier if I just would have gone ahead and cut it. I'm attempting to put it on by aligning the top and the side with the piece of glass, and that way I only have 2 edges that I'll have to cut, the bottom and the other side. Now, the instructions did say to spray both the glass and the back of this film with water. I only sprayed the glass, and that I think was a mistake. It worked, but I think if I would have sprayed both of them, it would have provided more water, which would have allowed the air bubbles to push out a little bit easier. As you'll see in a few minutes, I did struggle a little bit getting all the air bubbles out. This reminds me of trying to put a protective cover on an iPhone. If any of you guys have done that in the old days when they didn't have those cool little boxes that you just click down, you really had to be very careful to put it in place and press it down and not get any air bubbles. So here we go again. I'm attempting to kind of just smooth it out from top to bottom, removing that wax paper. And I've got it on there, but you can see that there's a lot of air bubbles, particularly in the middle. And I don't want to have to cut both sides, so I'm still working to align the edge with the side of the glass closest to the bottom of the screen. And then now I'm just kind of using my hands to push it into place, remove the air bubbles, make sure that it's properly aligned, because I want to get it nice and smooth and straight before I make that cut on the bottom. Okay, everything looked good, so I went ahead and I just grabbed some scissors, and I'm just going to cut as close to the glass as I can. I can come back in a moment with a little craft knife to get it perfectly smooth. And thankfully, it was almost the same width as the glass. So now it's just all about getting it down nice and smooth and getting all the air bubbles out. You can see it doesn't have an actual adhesive. It's just like a film that will stick to the glass with the assistance of the water. So if I have a big air bubble, I can kind of lift it up and then reapply it and push it towards the edge. This is the little spatula, I don't know what to call it, a little scraper that came with it. So far, I'm pretty impressed with the quality of the vinyl. Like when I'm gliding this plastic over it, it's not catching on it, it's not tearing it, it's just working to guide those air bubbles out of the out I don't even know what to say, out of the middle. Right. This probably took me about 15 to 20 minutes total to do each piece of the glass. And you can see now what I'm doing is I'm using one of the trees kind of as a starting point and then pushing the air bubbles away from it. I also grabbed a napkin. I didn't want to use my hands. I didn't want to smear or catch on any of the design. So I'm just kind of using a napkin to push some of them out. You can also use wrapped up cellophane or like a glove, put a plastic glove on or a cooking glove. That helps your hand to glide over the surface of it. So once I felt pretty good that I had all of the air bubbles out of it, then I grabbed the little knife that came with it. It is nice and sharp, and I just pressed it right up against the edge of the glass, and I'm cutting, you can see, at a slight angle because I want to make sure that the film doesn't overhang the edge of the glass. So I went around the entire thing, kind of cutting it on that angle. It cut really smooth and clean. I was really impressed with it, just making sure everything is smoothed down. Then once I had all those little air bubbles out, then I went ahead and used that same little craft knife to trim the bottom and get it right up against the glass. That is looking so pretty. I'm really loving this. If you're new to my channel, I hope you'll take some time and watch some of my videos and hit subscribe. If you're returning, thank you so much. I always look forward to reading your comments and hearing what you think of my furniture flips. So I'm going to use the knife to go ahead and cut along the edges of the indention for this little finger handle right here. So I'm cutting right along the inside edge of the glass so that I can press the film down into that indention. Going to make sure you get just a little bit past the edges so that it'll go down nice and smooth. And then once you've got one side, you want to come in and do the same exact thing to the other side. It's kind of hard to get the right angle for the knife, but you kind of want to let the glass guide the knife. That way you get a nice smooth cut exactly where you need it, and then that piece of film will just press down right in between those two pieces of glass and leave a nice indentation for opening and closing the doors. After the film had been on and dried for about 3 or 4 days, then what I did is I went all the way around the edges and in the finger grips with a matte polycrylic to seal the edges. I installed new hardware and made sure that they were level. And here's what the finished product looks like. Now this is just the cabinet without the glass doors. And you can see even just like that, it's improved. It now has design that draws the eye up and down, and it looks so pretty with my colored glass collection. But here it is with those windows in place. Look how pretty those are. That black just plays off of the design of the furniture. Here's what the inside looks like. There's the film, a little bit of a close-up. Well, let me know what you think. I have put the materials in the description. And of course, I also screenshotted where I got them from off of Amazon. If you try this product, let me know how it goes. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next time.